All right, so good job practicing the vocabulary. And now we're going to do a bridge activity. So on the other side of the imaginary bridge is the beginning of our story. But before we cross the bridge, we will do a short activity to get excited and think about one of the main ideas in the story. So I want you to think about a time you had a clever idea. Now, I want you to think about whether it was a positive or negative clever idea. Clever ideas can be both positive or negative. And clever ideas, for example, can help solve problems, which would be an example of a positive clever idea. Or clever ideas can harm or trick someone else, which would be an example of a negative clever idea. So, does anyone have any examples they would like to share? And when you tell us your example, make sure to tell us whether it's positive or negative. Yeah.
I remember when my husband wanted a special jacket. So we ordered it for him for Christmas. And I put it in a closet, not in the coat closet. I figured he'd never find it. Well, I was down at the hospital overnight with my daughter who was having surgery, and he came down to visit. And guess what he was wearing? The clever, we're recording this.
Oh, sorry.
The clever idea didn't work after all. So that you get to cut that piece or you can leave it in if the case may be.
Oh, I think it's perfect. You're telling us about your clever idea trying to trick him. He must have heard you and so he came. He seems pretty clever too. Jingren, did you have an example of going back, Sally, was that you think like a positive clever idea? It seems like maybe it was because you're trying to hide a present.
Yeah, it was positive. I was a bit annoyed that he found it, however. No surprise.
Yeah.
The first example came into my mind is not my clever idea, but it's a clever idea of my friend when he's in the class with his students. And I remember that their students are basically quite silent and they don't want to talk a lot and they feel timid and also nervous. And one day he led all the students outside this classroom because we were in a countryside and there were mountains and rivers. They had a beautiful viewpoints and they just asked them to do nothing but shouting out no matter what. And after they released themselves, then when they come back to the classroom again, they were more energetic and felt ready for the class. So I remember that as an example of a quite clever idea as a teacher.
Yeah, I like that idea. You know, the students had so much energy, so you just send them outside to let them scream for a minute and hopefully it gets all that energy out. That's a really clever idea. All right, so now we are going to read our story that has a clever idea in it. Do you think it will be a positive or a negative clever idea? Just guess.
I'm wondering
if
it's positive.
Maybe a positive one? Yeah, so be thinking and paying attention as we read our story to start to understand whether it's going to be positive or negative and in what ways it's a clever idea. So now we're going to cross the imaginary bridge and begin reading our story.